welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. I'm so glad that you're here. Today we're going to talk about how you can make the most out of your online dance classes this semester. So I've come up with a few different things that you can implement into your online dancing routine that'll really help you out. Obviously we're all in the same boat. We all thought that we would be going back to normal by now, that we would have gone back to normal months ago, but here we are and we kind of have to make the most out of it. My cat is trying to eat my shoelace. It's fine. So the first thing you can do that I think will really help is if you film yourself taking your classes. One of the biggest things that you need to be able to do in dance is self-correct. You're gonna have to be able to watch yourself dancing in order to correct your own technique, especially since it's going to be harder for teachers to see the details right now. You can watch in the mirror, but we all know that the mirror lies. It's a liar. And a lot of the time what you see there is not really how it looks to other people, and that's very important to remember. So you can't just rely solely on the mirror, especially when you don't have a teacher that's paying close attention to you all the time. So set up your phone. I got a tripod and honestly it's been super helpful for me. I can just put my phone up on it and film myself. I definitely recommend putting your phone on top of something though, because I definitely made the mistake of just propping it up on the floor, and in case you didn't know, that's not the most flattering angle. So try and prop it up on some books, or if you want to invest in a tripod off Amazon, it was like $10 I think. It was pretty cheap and it's been really helpful. Film yourself taking class, and when you're done just look through it and figure out what you can do differently, figure out what bad habits have been slipping in. You're really gonna have to take your technique into your own hands right now. Plus having footage of your dancing is gonna help you see the progress that you've made. During quarantine it's been especially hard, because it's hard in general, but especially right now it's hard to see when you've made progress. So to have that footage where you can look back and be like, okay, I have improved, that'll help you out. It'll help with your confidence to be able to tell that you've actually been improving. So the second thing that you can do actually kind of goes along with the first, and that is to buy a journal and write down corrections. I definitely am a big advocate of doing this in general, even when we're not in quarantine, but especially right now, because again, so much of what we're doing right now is self-correction. Grab a notebook, grab your camera that you filmed on, and go ahead and write down any corrections, anything you see that you want to fix in the next class. Then you can read through your corrections before the next class you take, and it'll be easier to retain the things that you want to fix. It's really hard to remember every correction from one class to the other, so if you can actually physically remind yourself, it is so helpful. And I always feel like I'm able to apply corrections faster and more consistently if I do that. The second you get out of class, sit down and in your mind go through every combination you did and what corrections you got from your teacher and write them all down. Teachers can get frustrated when they're giving the same correction over and over again, so if you can apply it yourself the first time, it'll really help. The third way that you can really take advantage of your online classes is to make sure you're not neglecting your warm-up and your cool-down. Now I know for me, when we first started quarantine, I didn't take online classes as seriously because I didn't realize that we would be doing them for this long. So I would maybe stretch out a little bit and then just turn on the computer and start dancing. But honestly, we're actually at an advantage right now, because when I was going into a studio, there was a set time where you couldn't get into the studios before that time, so your warm-up time is limited. But if you're in your own home, if you're in your dining room, you can spend like an hour and a half warming up for class, you know, get some Pilates in, do a little bit of yoga, stretch it out before class, and then after class you have plenty of time to like work on oversplits and all kinds of stuff that you wouldn't normally have time to do when you're in the studio. Just break out those TheraBands, do some exercises, get some ab work in. All of that stuff is going to help you keep improving even during quarantine. We don't know how long we're going to be doing this, so you really need to make sure that you're taking these online classes just as seriously as if you were going into the studio and doing it in person in front of your teacher. And speaking of teachers, my fourth tip is to remember that your teachers are watching. I am definitely guilty of this as well, especially towards the beginning of quarantine, to kind of like step off frame for a second, like take a quick break. If they're doing, you know, Petit Allegro for the third time and I'm like, I would just step away. Yeah, that's very noticeable. Obviously it depends on the class size, but in general, It's really obvious, which now scares me because like I said, I was definitely guilty of that, like, and I was hungry, so I stepped off and like grabbed a quick bite in between combinations and came back. I would never do that in a class in person. You would never eat in the classroom. Just really make sure that you are remembering the fact that it is their job to watch you, and it is quite obvious when you're not engaged in class. So just be very aware of that. Make sure that you're coming across in the way that you want to come across. You want to be respectful and engaged, and if you're taking lots of breaks or something, that's not going to be how you come across. Alright, number 5, really do your best to try and make sure you're dancing in front of a mirror. And I know this isn't always possible, but honestly, you can get crafty with it. The mirror that I'm using used to hang like above a dresser. It was like attached to it, and I've just got it like propped up on the floor so that I can see myself. You can even get the college dorm kind of cheap mirrors from Target and take the mirror off the back and just tape them together. That works too. I've seen some people on TikTok doing that, so check that out. But pretty much anything you can do to make sure you can see yourself while you're dancing. I know I'm kind of contradicting myself because I said that mirrors lie, but they are still helpful tools for placement, in particular when you're at the bar and you can look to your side and be able to see your profile as well as the front. Make sure that you're not shifting to the side because that's so hard to feel in the moment, and you want to make sure that you're not spending an entire class with the wrong placement because that's just giving your body the wrong things to remember, and we don't want to do that. You want to make sure that you're correcting all of those little technical details so that you don't let any bad habits in right now. One quick little note that I feel like is necessary to share: when you're putting together your little at-home dance space, make sure that you're not using shower pan liner. Now, I made this mistake. I danced on shower pan liner for like 4 months, and then I was talking to one of my students who was asking me about flooring because she wants to get floor that she can do point on, and I told her I would send her a picture of what I had, and I flipped it over so that she could see like the brand name and everything, and it said, "Caution, cancer and reproductive harm." So needless to say, that's not in my house anymore. I googled it, and apparently that is very, very common. Something about the chemicals that they use in it is very harmful over time. Now I will say it probably takes more exposure than just like taking a class or two on it, because you know there's plumbers that lay shower pan liner all the time, but still I feel like it's not really worth the risk, and I think investing in nice flooring is one thing that you probably shouldn't compromise too much on. Now tip number 6 is, if you're getting some low spirits, take advantage of your ability to wear all the dancewear items you're not allowed to wear during the year. I had a uniform last year and it was not a good one. We had a lot of issues with fit and everything, and it was just not a flattering leotard. Not to mention, when you have a uniform, it's really easy to compare yourself to other people because you're like, oh well, I don't look like that in this and it's the same thing, like what's going on? Put on your favorite Leo every day. You know, wear the warm-ups that you love if you can, especially if you're doing YouTube classes instead of Zoom classes. Like really, you could wear a unitard, a bike-tard. Nobody is there to care. It's all about what you feel good in, what you feel confident in, what makes you want to look in the mirror. I know when I'm not wearing something that I like, it's like I look in the mirror and I'm like, not my favorite thing. So let yourself have fun with what you're wearing. Do your hair a fun way. I know for me, I normally like to do pigtails because my hair was pretty short. It's getting longer now, but if I'm just doing a YouTube class and I want to do pigtails, I can do pigtails. Have fun with it. Have more fun with it than you normally get to. And if your spirits are especially low, you can go check out my video on what to do when you lose motivation for dance during quarantine. It's super normal, so don't worry about it. Just make sure that you're doing everything you can to make every class fun. And then my last tip is, if you're taking classes on YouTube or using a recorded Zoom class, make sure you're taking advantage of the ability to repeat combinations. One of the hardest things to do right now when we're dancing at home is keep our stamina high, and if you're repeating things and doing things over, that'll really help with that. It'll keep you strong, it'll keep your heart rate up. Not only that, but I feel like it's kind of hard to do something perfect the first time, but if you're doing a live class and the teacher moves on, you just have to move on. You might be able to repeat it after class, but half the time I've forgotten it by then. It'll help you apply corrections. So just to wrap everything up, my first tip was to film yourself taking class, make sure you're watching it and correcting. Second, invest in a journal, make sure you're writing down all of those corrections and read them before every single class so that you can apply them to what you're doing. 3, make sure you are really warming up well and cooling off before and after class. Take advantage of the extra time that you have when you don't have to be driving home or whatever you do before or after class. 4, be aware that your teacher is watching and paying attention. It's literally their job, so don't do anything you wouldn't do in person. 5, try to make sure that you're dancing in front of a mirror so that you can correct your own technique. 6, if your spirits are getting low, break out all that dance wear that you can't wear during the year, as long as they're not requiring a uniform anyway, which would be really sad. But do whatever you can to make sure every class is fun. That's really helped to bring my spirits up. Or watch my video. And number 7, take advantage of your ability to repeat combinations. That way you can keep your stamina higher even though we can't really jump, and you have double the chances to self-correct and make sure that you get it right. And that is it. That is all we have today. I hope you guys got some new ideas. I know this is frustrating. Trust me, I'm frustrated too. I just want to be back in the studio, but we have to be in the home stretch now. So just keep pushing through, keep working to improve, and you will thank yourself later. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a like, and make sure that you check out some of my other dance advice videos that are on my channel. In my last one, I talked about all of the mistakes that I made in my first year dancing with a professional company as a trainee, and honestly, I didn't cringe through that for nothing. So please go check it out. Hopefully you can laugh at my pain and learn from it. Make sure you subscribe to my channel and turn on the bell notifications before you go. I put out a new video every Monday. So I will see you guys next week. I hope you have a fantastic day.